Welcome to the dinner table, Cameron's birthday version. We got the whole fam here for Cameron's birthday.
The whole squad.
This is seriously the Marotta dinner table right here. Kel, hi.
For us.
So we were celebrating Cam's birthday, and as you can see, we got Jayla Priester, we got Jordan King. Let's see, Aubrey's back here. Those are three people who are not necessarily blood related or in the family by marriage, and that's the typical family Marotta dinner table. There's always just somebody who's not related but always invited, right?
Mom, what do you think of the night?
Love it. It's Cameron's birthday, and Pat was here, and Pat left.
Pat Quick was here, Pat left. That's another addition to the crew.
Yeah, so it's been a good night, but the big thing tonight was the Women's National Championship game. It's been the buzz all year, and it sure lived up to the hype. What'd you guys think?
I thought it was interesting just to see Caitlin Clark come out. Just obviously no shock that she made every shot right out the gate. 18 points in the first quarter was something crazy, but I was a fan of the outcome.
We were just talking about it. I mean, Caitlin has all the pressure in the world on her, obviously. The South Carolina team has a ton of pressure on them, too, because they were undefeated going into this year. They're the favorite in the game. Both of them have a redemption story with losing last year to Iowa, South Carolina in the Final Four, and then Iowa losing the national championship game. So the storylines are all there. I think the viewership for this is going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
It just seems like they break a record every week now, and deservedly so because it was a great game.
What do you think, Chloe?
I mean, Jordan said this best. What did it end up being? 37-0 on bench points?
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. Jordan King brought this up. That's why we're like, you're going to get on the podcast tonight. Yeah. Before the game, she goes, she goes, before the game, she goes, what I'm most impressed by is that I think actually their South Carolina's bench comes in and does a better job sometimes. And so it's exactly what happened. Iowa came out to an early lead. Bench comes in. Malaysia Fawiley, I mean, you name it, just had, what's her name? Tessa Johnson. Just unbelievable game. And they had 37 bench points compared to Iowa's 0. Yeah. It's incredible.
Well, what South Carolina does this year now, even more so than last year, is they shoot the ball well. I mean, they're just so loaded. And they bring somebody off the bench who can score it. And because they're lethal from three, it just makes them, I think, arguably one of the best teams in college basketball, obviously going undefeated and winning the national championship.
Did you guys feel the whole time that South Carolina was going to win it even though Iowa took that early lead, or what were your thoughts?
I mean, like when we were talking about like Dawn Staley not calling a timeout first quarter, just letting them like play, like
yeah.
I think you see, teams come out against South Carolina and they're like getting confidence, like, oh, we can play with them. But the stamina that goes into South Carolina's 40-minute game is crazy. I mean, we're talking about the bench points, but if you look at like the rebounds per minute, like for some of these kids off the bench, like the rebounds are like 5, 4, 4, 4, and like 3 of those kids are guards. Like,
yeah.
So just the impact across 40 minutes, and they're able to play 10 people. Like those are people that are getting in and getting like big minutes. So it's just like 40 minutes of South Carolina basketball is just something different.
But also, a 6-point game, you're down by 6. Iowa's down by 6, and you got
right.
Caitlin Clark on your team. I'm like, this is 2 possessions, but it's really like 5 seconds that could happen, like a game-changing decision. So I felt never comfortable if I was South Carolina. I also never felt comfortable if I was Iowa. They were up 20-10 at one point, and you could tell that, best part about it, we can talk about this, Dawn Staley, they're down by 8-0 or 7-0
right.
to start the game. Doesn't call a timeout. She's sitting so calm and collected. She's like, they're going to figure it out.
You think she was calm? Joe was ready to.
Yeah, that's right. She was not calm about the refs a little bit, but she was calm in those moments. Not
Shout
calm
out Joe, the
calm
ref.
over here. I wasn't seeing that.
They had the Big East crew out there, didn't
Yeah.
They did.
She wasn't happy with
some
the ref.
of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't get fined, but.
Yeah. No, but she was cool as a cucumber on the sideline. We were saying that the whole time. The defense on Caitlin Clark, can you guys break that down a little bit, what they did well?
I need to pass it to Gigi because we were
yes,
talking.
Uncle Gabe.
Yes. We were
the
talking.
toughest question, the breakdown of the defensive side
I know.
of Caitlin Clark.
No, but this is why I wanted to bring it up because Giggs was talking about Raven Johnson the whole time and just saying how he wanted to have her have a great game because of last time they matched up and Caitlin Clark blew her off and said, you know what, you can't shoot. And now she's had kind of a comeback. It's been her revenge to her.
Yeah.
And she's the main girl who had a defensive game. So if you want to touch on that, Gigi.
Club 52 camp coach, Craig Howler.
No, I think Raven did a great job. I mean, she stayed in front of her most of the game, made her work for a lot of her shots, and you could tell by the end of the game that she was coming up short. Caitlin was a little bit tired by that end of the game. I mean, what she had 28 shots. throughout the course of the game. I think
10 for 28.
10, 28. And she came out on fire that first quarter, but they really made her work. And you could tell by that third, fourth quarter, her legs were getting a little bit tired, and she was just coming up short on her jumpers and stuff. So I give Raven a lot of credit for that.
I wanted to see a couple more of those just go in, just where it could get to like the point where this is just craziness, basically, at the end of the game. I thought that they got every single time they went on like an 8-0 run, South Carolina would answer them with an 8-0 run themselves. I thought it was going to get a little bit tighter at the end.
Yeah, I thought so too. I wanted Raven to make some big shots. I really did. I think
she struggled though outside.
Yeah, she still struggled.
I mean, you're running around guarding Caitlin Clark. If one goes in, good for you.
Yeah, I think she was tired too. You could tell that she was working a lot on the defensive end. But I wanted for herself to see just a big three, just a chance to kind of walk down the court.
You didn't like the shoulder shrug that Caitlin Clark gave her last year when she was guarding her at the free throw line.
Well, I think you see what happens with smack talk, and everybody does it, but you see what actually happens, and it affected her greatly. I mean, she went into a period of darkness for a couple of weeks, and you don't think about that at the time. And even when we watched it, I didn't think about what the effect it was going to have on Raven. But it really did. And so for her to come back and play strong and win the national championship, I was really impressed by it. I'm glad.
Okay, what about your girl, Pow Pow?
Pow Pow, yeah.
All game, Giggs was like, Pow Pow.
One of the best names.
Best name for college basketball.
Yeah,
Where did she transfer in from?
Oregon.
Tahina Pow Pow, she finished with 3 of 4 from the free throw line. She finished with 3 of 4 from the 3-point line as well. Isn't that crazy? So 14 points from Tahina Pow Pow, 22 minutes. I mean, look at this. Like what we were talking about with the bench points. You got 17 minutes, 31, but off the bench you got 14 minutes, 18 minutes, 18 minutes, 25 minutes. I mean, those guys.
And like people are coming off,
yeah.
like playing like 18 minutes, and you're maximizing, like you're going 3 from 5 from the field with 4 rebounds, like like things like that.
Yeah, so we got Jayla here as well, and she can kind of give us a little.
Oh, she was a big Gamecocks fan.
Yeah, big Gamecocks fan.
Really?
Yeah.
Guys, I chose my team. You know, I really wanted to see UConn, so I was just a little bit upset with Iowa. So I was like, let's go South Carolina.
How'd you feel about that call the other night?
We were talking about it for a long time, and it's like the breakdown. You look at it, it was an illegal screen, but can you call that there? Like, in that moment, UConn was going to either win the game or lose the game, and you let it play out. And so that's kind of where I stood with that, but it was just an unfortunate call.
I couldn't agree more. I thought it's just at that point in time in the game, unless it's obvious where the Iowa defender is knocked off of the play and then Paige
she needs to have her head on the floor. If that's what we're going to call it at that point,
She got through the screen,
Yeah.
and it was a little bit ticky-tacky for that moment in time.
Yeah.
Especially like playing UConn, like, sorry, but Aaliyah Edwards set the screen like that every possession. And like Jayla said, it's like let the ball go in the basket or out of the basket, but at least there was a shot that went off. Like, yeah.
You guys, who won the pool in our family for the women's? I wasn't sure.
You owe Mom some money. How much money do we owe her?
I guess Venmo's not working anymore. So
We decided,
We saw Mom one. We're like,
should we do it? Should we actually keep it up?
No, we owe her $25 a piece.
Yep, $25 a piece for the women's bracket.
But with tax season now, Chloe, how does that factor into?
You're not going to be seeing it much from me. I will be honest. It's funny.
Taxes have not been kind to Chloe this season.
McKenna's going in. She was in the men's bracket and got beat out by Jake.
Is it over yet? Is it
No,
over?
it depends on who wins tomorrow, but Jake, I think, has it locked up.
I think Jake's locked it up. No, Jake locked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and McKenna also used Mom's $25 to get into the men's bracket. So,
So she really owes her $50.
so I think McKenna, if you're listening, oh my God. It's
I was thinking about how happy would there anybody be happier in the group to win $600 right now? McKenna's overseas traveling all over the place. I'm sure she has no money. Mom could probably speak to that.
Yeah.
Kenna's an African.
We got to get Kelly involved, Clark.
We have to get Cal involved. Did you watch the game? Okay, what do you think?
I just so proud to either team to see how great women's sports are doing, and it's really exciting. Having watched women's basketball for the last several years, to just see it really getting the attention it deserves. And I mean, they were awesome games. I mean, I watched Friday night, last night, several of the games, and it's just exciting. It was like watching a pro basketball game. It was really awesome.
We were on the edge of our seats literally the entire game. The halftime show came on, and I was like, I had to run to the bathroom and get back because I was obsessed with the halftime show. Like,
They're
everything.
Great. That crew that they have is really fun. And I think Elle Duncan is my favorite.
She's my idol. Yeah. We'll love to be Elle Duncan. Can we talk about Dawn Staley at the end? South Carolina wins it, but she takes the chance to grab the microphone and give props to Caitlin Clark.
We all turned and looked at each other after that game. We're like, she's just so classy. Everything she does is classy. The way she dresses classy. The way she approaches her team and talks to her team, and everything she does is a class act. And she was funny because she probably was like in her head thinking, when am I going to get this in? When am I get this in? Because it's all about South Carolina. We won the national championship, and she wants to make it about her players. And then right then and there, she's like, hey, Holly, like, I got to say this. And just Caitlin Clark has done so much for the women's basketball, and I will basically thank her wherever you are, for doing that. And it's a lot to hold on a young girl, and what she's done this year has been phenomenal. I mean, we talked about this the other night. One of Cam's friends was like, Chloe, when you think about the top players that are talked about right now, including the NBA, and you think about LeBron, Steph Curry, you got to think Caitlin Clark's number 3. If not 1 or 2 right now, like compared to those guys. And to think about that, just conversations. I mean, how many times do you bring up LeBron in a day? I mean, everyone brings him up, like you're always talking about Steph Curry, you're always talking about LeBron, and now everyone's talking about Caitlin Clark. And
I think every podcast we've done, we've brought her up.
Yeah.
Literally every one we've done.
And Dawn Staley, to just say that in that moment was just so classy, and God, she's amazing. Yeah.
What do you guys? I want to ask Jordan this actually. What do you think about some of the, not hate, I don't want to go to that far of an extent, but some of the women, like Diana Taurasi was speaking a little bit about how she doesn't think right away she's going to be that successful. I agree with some of her sentiments, but I thought she was being a little harsh. And then the woman, and I'm forgetting her name.
Stu Bird.
No.
Quick to it, Carly.
Well, see, a lot of people have said this kind of stuff, though.
So a lot of people have. Somebody came out. She was doing a speech. She was the record breaker.
Forgot her name. Saw it.
You guys
know
saw
what
the
you're talking
clip. Portnoy was tweeting about it and stuff. But
Cheryl?
No, she said she's like she. Yeah, she was like, Caitlin doesn't necessarily have my record.
Nancy Lieberman.
No.
Yeah.
No, the other coach.
Cher
Talking
Miller.
about the one that was the leader.
I thought it was
Yeah.
Cheryl Miller.
I know
Cheryl
what you're talking
Miller.
about, but I don't-
Cheryl Miller.
No,
it wasn't.
Kim, I'm here with you. I'm here with you.
This was big. This is big talk. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
what do you feel like? I'll just set the tone. She said today in her presser, maybe yesterday, that Caitlin doesn't necessarily have the record because she was only shooting 2s and she was playing with the men's ball. It was kind of like she was giving her a little bit of crap.
I mean, I just like.
Cheryl
I mean,
Swoops.
Yeah. Cheryl Swoops, was it? Forget
no.
Kelsey Plum. You're thinking Kelsey Plum, but that's not who we're thinking
no,
about. Yeah.
me and Cam are talking about somebody else.
Yeah, go ahead. Just,
Long
you know what?
name.
I'll pass it along.
All right.
It's actually funny that we don't know her name.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's hard at times, and you just see like the way that women's sports, women's basketball is progressing right now, and you've got like other older women who are now like trying to find a way to. Sorry. They're 30. They're literally 30. Like,
She's like, we got other.
we've got.
All the women at the table. No, Jay, keep going.
Yeah. No, it's just like trying to not like put her down, but like bring up points. But it's just like continue to like encourage her and whatnot, because they're gonna be in the shoes that they paved the way for. Like so many of the past WNBA players have paved the way for us college basketball players now, and so I think it's hard. Like almost right now, it's like no one is making Caitlin Clark like you can't always make somebody happy, but like. I just think it's hard when you've got other people that are, finding a reason to, put her down, or not even necessarily like tear her down, but just making comments that are like, I just scored 4,000 points. Like, what more do you want me to do? Like, I've got attention on the game now. Like,
And especially with how humble Caitlin Clark
Yeah.
is, there's no reason not to like her. She's always says the right thing. But she has the Tiger Woods effect on the game of women's basketball right now. She's bringing so much viewership, so much more money to the game, and people of the past, people of the future, people of the game currently should all be thanking Caitlin Clark and have nothing but praise to say to her. And that's why I'm glad Dawn Staley took the time out to say that, because Dawn Staley could have had 6 million people watching the game today, but because Caitlin Clark was in it, now they're going to have 20 million people watching the game, and it just brings that much more notoriety to South Carolina.
What stood out to me about Caitlin Clark, and we talked about this a little during the game, is her composure. But after that first NCAA tournament game, she kind of lost it in that first game, and it was seen everywhere on social media. And then she was composed the rest of the way. And I feel like it was huge for her team and their success. And I just thought it was impressive because Iowa wasn't playing that well at times, and she didn't lose it, and she kept her composure. And I feel like that's hard for someone who's just so passionate about the game.
I also think it's hard this far along in the season. Typically you're
losing
losing
so much.
Yeah, typically you're losing your composure a lot though. Early on, you're kind of learning throughout the season, maybe how to control it, how to not control it, and then she loses it in the round of 32 or 64, whatever it was, the first round or second round, she's losing her composure. And at this time, you think, okay, we've done all the mental stuff, we've done all the conversations, but the fact that she even continued to improve on her mental state of mind throughout the NCAA tournament is a testament to her and the people that are surrounding her. The fact that, you know, Lisa Bluter or any of those coaches or her mental coach or whoever that is, her teammates, can still hold her accountable or still have conversations with her behind closed doors that she still listens to in the NCAA tournament as the player that she is. Like, it's incredible to watch. You can tell somebody that mid-season, like, hey, you're losing your composure, enough with that. Like, you know, and I don't know. It's cool to see.
Do you think she gets on the refs too much?
I just think she complains after everything. Every time.
She does.
It's true.
She does.
But she kind of, like, she cut it a little bit. I mean, she did a little bit this last game, but I mean, I just felt like it was a little bit less, which is impressive.
No, I agree.
Sometimes I'm thinking she is getting fouled out there too, and she's not getting the benefit of the doubt. And plus, like, sometimes like with LeBron and Caitlin Clark's of the world, there's something to it about when you're voicing your displeasure to the referees, they give you more calls because of your LeBron or your Caitlin Clark. So it's like, okay, she's whining, but also she's doing the most to help them win the game because the referees are people too, and they know, okay, Caitlin Clark's whining at me, I got to give her a call on the neck, and she knows that. And it's like, it's kind of playing the game a little bit.
Yeah. So what do these two teams look like next season?
I know South Carolina's got only Camila Cardoso leaving. I mean, as of right now, a senior graduating. But what they return after a perfect season is like, what are you supposed to do about that?
They'll be good forever.
Malaysia Fulwiley, I mean, you're going to be watching her
Freshman,
for a very long time. The fact that she's a freshman, obviously, Tessa Johnson, but Fulwiley has had a season already, and she's only a freshman, and she had that.
She's a stud.
She's a stud, and you are going to be watching her for the next couple of years. I mean, there are studs that we can pick out on almost every single team that are going to be the highlight of next year. It's incredible to see.
So do you feel good about the future of women's college basketball, even though Caitlin Clark's
Absolutely. I feel great about it. I mean, we got Juju Watkins still. We got a lot of kids. Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame, like
Kiki Rice.
I mean, you're talking about real superstars, you know, and it's cool to see. But what I was going to say about that with South Carolina is, like, I feel like they're going to be fine regardless when they got Dawn Staley on their side. Right. They said that this was one of the worst teams, that they felt like were going to be one of the worst teams in the summer. Jordan, you mentioned, like, she was thinking, like, shoot, should I quit? Like, this is going to be a hard team to, you know, they lose 5 outstanding players, and then they got to kind of rebuild in a sense. And look what they did: undefeated, 38-0, and win a national championship. I mean, that's that's coachable. Like, that's coachability, and that's coaches. You know, like, you got to make a team that well. So I mean,
and a lot of skill,
and a lot of skill, and athleticism.
Every girl they bring off the bench is
incredibly skilled,
athletic, big.
They were in foul trouble. We're like, no problem.
Got 4 more All-Americans. They're good. They're
coming off the bench. Chloe is good too.
Chloe Kidd, she's good. She's
good.
Only a sophomore too.
Yeah.
But Iowa, let's talk about Iowa next year. Obviously, they lose Caitlin Clark, but you lose one of the most important people on your team is Kate Martin. And
you lose leadership.
You lose leadership.
Felt for her walking out. Like, everyone was talking about Caitlin Clark, but we saw Kate Martin behind her.
Yeah. I think, like, something about Iowa, though, is that you now have younger players that have learned from the older ones. I mean, even referencing, like, your guys' podcast with Monica, she learned from Megan Gustafson. Hannah Stuelke learned from Monica. You know, you've got guards under Caitlin that started to get some more minutes, like, as, you know, Molly got hurt. But just, you know, you're going to take things from practice and things that, even if you didn't step on the court this year for Iowa, like, you learn so much from the people above you, and you just hope that, you know, they can carry some of that forward. And, you know, you're never going to be able to replace a player like Caitlin Clark, or even maybe someone with the leadership like Kate Martin, but just the things that you learned from that.
Don't forget about Gabby Marshall too.
Yeah. That's a glue kid that's hard to.
Yeah.
I mean, back-to-back national championship teams. Didn't win it, obviously, runner-ups, but it sucks, but, like, it takes so much to get there, and they know what it takes, and I think they're passing it down, like Jay said.
I got questions for these guys over
here.
I
was gonna say,
today we were sitting in the sauna, and we're like, we got to get back for the women's college basketball national championship. I watch a lot of basketball. I do watch the women's stuff, probably more so than any of my friends in the past couple of years, but, like, for all of us to be on board and be like, we have to get back to watch the women. We never would say that ever before in the past, but it was like, today we have to watch it. How do you guys, Briley, go ahead, I'll ask you first. Like, I'm sure you might have watched a little bit of the NCAA tournament this year. Like, how's your feelings on how the excitement is around the game?
First,
now?
Briley is our cousin.
Yeah.
So Briley's, senior in high school. And then next to her is Aubrey, who's our friend and Bryn's friend, who's next to her on the left. You can see you in this camera angle. But Bryn and Aubrey are in 7th grade. So kind of, just introduction, I guess. Go ahead, Bri.
Well, I don't know. I just think it was fun that, like, more people got involved that, like, even I know. Like, last year, I, like, wanted to do a bracket, and none of my friends really cared that much. It was just, like, the guys, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to really do it. And then this year, like, everyone's like, we need to, like, make a bracket right now. And the guys made a women's bracket this year, and, like, we all got together and watched Iowa versus UConn, and it was just, like, even my friends that never ever cared about basketball, like, it's just fun that, like, so many people, like, are starting to, like, appreciate it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Bryn, Aubrey, you guys got to say a little something. Future basketball. Yeah, future basketball. I mean, you guys are obviously 7th graders. You had a huge tournament this year with the Padre. A lot of people were out there. But I work out almost your entire team, and I know how devoted you guys are. Maybe kind of what's the thing right now? Like, if you see these players playing and how many people are watching them, does that motivate you guys to maybe, want to be out there a little bit or want to get better or also cheer on girls and see other girls succeed?
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of fun to just watch them, and then kind of they inspire us. Yeah. And then, I don't know.
Does anyone at this table inspire you too?
Yeah, but then I also get to learn from them a lot, and I just get to see how they handle things when things are tough. And
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think we look up to them, our age and kids our age, watch them to get better and want to become them when we're older, and they inspire us to become good athletes.
I love that. That's awesome.
I think even for you guys, like, growing up, like, on social media too, like, I know, like, when we were your guys' age, it wasn't always the nicest comments about women's basketball, like, across social media and things like that. And so I was just seeing something today about comparing, like, kind of generations in that way. But I think it's cool that you guys will grow up in a world like this is women's basketball and this is what it should be. And obviously people have worked so hard to pave the way. But
it's always been like they don't dunk, like they did this and that. I mean, for sure this year everybody's like, this is exciting brand of basketball to watch. And it's a product that, like, people can get behind. And hopefully moving forward it is, for sure.
I love it just because, I mean, everybody can name women basketball players. You know them by name. And tomorrow's going to be an excellent game. Obviously, you got Purdue, you got UConn. But if you could compare how many names you could name compared to what we've seen in women's basketball, it's unlike anything we've ever seen.
We talked about that a little bit on the podcast, on our last one, because these women, too, have, like, Caitlin Clark's been around now for years, and we've seen her in the Final Four last year. And so now you kind of build recognition with these players. The men's game, they have a lot more players that go one and done. Women's game, you can't go one and done. And they transfer all over the place. So nobody has, like, a foundation of a player where you're like, okay, Caitlin Clark, Iowa, that is, like, my team I'm rooting for. Or Aaliyah Boston, South Carolina, 4 years there. And it's great to see her come back, too. And actually, like, that's so awesome, actually, today. That was fun to see. But, yeah, you're 100% right. But that's what, like, is so good about college basketball. And the men's side is losing it completely.
And I love the women that, like, Dawn Staley couldn't be a bigger fan. I love the fact that she's the first one that grabs a mic, or the first one interviewed after the game, and she's crying her eyes out. Men's basketball, certainly there's a lot of passion. Hurley's passionate, he's committed and all of that. But to see Dawn Staley, this meant the world to her. And then how she is a woman about other women. We saw her in South Carolina last year when you were there for the first round. The team that they played the 15 or the 16 seed. She spent the press conference talking about that team and how great they were and how well they played, and her talking about Caitlin Clark. She's lifting other women up. She's making she is making a difference. All those women are making a difference. But her crying, we were all sitting there just crying as hard as she was crying because you're just so happy for her.
You could go ahead.
Now I was gonna say, talk about her style a little bit too. I know you love her style and her clothes. I mean, I want her closet every day.
I want her shoes.
Her shoes, they're so nice.
See, you could tell that obviously she's such a great recruiter, but you can see how easy it would be for her to go into a family room and convince parents to send their kid to South Carolina. I mean, that's why her bench is fully loaded like that, because she just seems like you'd want to hang out with her.
She even like said something, you got to find a way to kind of meet the kids where you're at. You can't completely change the personality of a kid, or like, you know, what their style of play is or things like that. Obviously there's some things that have to be key to your program and what your values are. But I think just the way that she's been able to have, I think, genuine teams over the course of the years, like you can just see the personality come through with some of those kids. And I think that's really cool to see as well, because that's how she is as a coach.
Yeah. We have some Madison girls committed to Iowa next year. Tika Mullaney and Taylor Stremlow both going to Iowa, so it'll be fun to watch them grow. But let's talk about the men's side. Mom talked about UConn and Purdue. I feel like you couldn't pick a better matchup probably for the national championship game, so I feel like that makes it more exciting.
Dan Hurley said it in his after the game interview. He's like, we've been the two best teams all year long.
Right.
So it's nice to see them in the championship, especially in a tournament in which obviously there's a ton of upsets and anything can happen. You have the two best teams playing for it at the end. It's surprising. UConn's 6.5-point favorites. They're obviously the two of the best teams, but UConn just seems to be step above everybody this year. Even when they play close games, like that Alabama game was close for a majority of the game, they end up pulling away at the end. A lot of it, I think, has to do with the depth that they have. And, you know, they're deep. And that kid Johnson, we were talking about him all day yesterday, the backup center. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a starting center on 360 other teams in college basketball. And he comes in for Klingen, who's a monster, and just their whole team is loaded. And I like Dan Hurley. Like Dan Hurley's personality, he's probably way different than Dawn Staley, but he's another coach that you'd love to play for because he has your back fully. He's pumping up the crowd during the game. He's wild. I mean, but it's definitely, he's got it working over there for UConn.
I think when you think about this matchup, you think about the bigs, and that's what Giggs, my uncle, and obviously Jay, we were talking about that too. Like, you want to see Klingen versus Edie. I mean, don't you want to see that matchup? It's crazy. And I can have you talk about this, but we were talking about how the game has just changed completely, where you don't see big man versus big man much anymore. And so this is kind of like an old-fashioned big man versus big man in the paint, and seeing that. What I want to add to that is I felt like last game, Zach Edey had a wonderful game, and I don't think that his guard play around him was that great.
It hasn't been great all tournament.
Hasn't been great all tournament. They haven't been shooting the ball well. I don't know percentages or numbers exactly right now, but that is going to be huge for Purdue tomorrow. UConn is way too good defensively, way too good offensively for their guard play to not be there. They're going to have a phenomenal game plan against Zach Edey, whether that's, you know, forcing him to make more of a move, get him out of the paint a little bit more, or kind of doubling him, obviously, in a sense. But they're going to have guards that knock down shots and that are confident to knock down shots, and other than Lawyer.
It'll be just interesting to see like what both teams do, because at the end of the day, what they resort to is throwing the ball inside for both teams. And it a lot of times is easy for them because they have such a size advantage. Now, neither team has a size advantage going into tomorrow because both those guys are 7 foot plus. So, okay, what's Purdue going to do now if Zach Edey – first off, is Zach Edey going to be able to dominate Klingen like he's been dominating everybody else? We'll see. But what are they going to do if he can't get to his stuff? Because they go through him, I think, even more so than UConn goes through Klingen.
Mm-hmm. That's Absolutely. What I was going to say. I mean, you kind of started talking about it, but like – the hype of this matchup, I think it's not even going to come down to the big men. Like they're gonna do what they do. There's gonna be the game plan against both of them, but it's gonna come down to what guards can make plays. And I mean, I haven't watched a ton of Purdue, but like you were saying, like their guard plays struggled through the tournament, and that's what I've seen. But UConn,
Braden Smith in the last game struggled.
Yeah, I was gonna say but UConn being in the Big East, obviously you've seen them all year, and the way they have depth and rotation through that guard position is, I think, they're gonna be the determining factor. But obviously, everyone's coming for Zach Edey, and
Castle's been such a factor for
yeah.
UConn. I mean, he's a freshman for them, but he's going to be a first-round pick, and he's their best defender as a freshman. They put him on the guard the other day from NC State. Who'd they play in the other game just recently? NC State. Bama. They put him on Sears from Bama, and he did a great job on him. And so he's really fun to watch, I think.
Mom, how do you feel about the Dancing Bear being out of the tournament? Mom just said DJ. She's a big
DJ Bear.
My favorite player.
Yeah.
I'm still mad. Marquette should have beat the Dancing Bear. Marquette beat the Dancing Bear. We held them to 4 or 6 points. I know. We should have been there.
Don't get Noreen going on this.
Oh, my God. It's still so disappointing. But you know what? I saw one fun fact about Hurley at an interview either today or yesterday.
Not his dragon underwear.
Yes.
Wait, say it. Explain.
So his wife says that he's basically a 12-year-old at heart. So she buys him this special underwear that's got like cartoon characters on it.
You've seen this, right?
And he wears
I've
that
never seen
same,
this.
not the same pair, but the same kind of underwear every game.
Chloe, and then they bring a hand washer everywhere he goes.
Oh, but it's the same pair?
It's the same pair.
Oh,
And
goodness.
so they wash in the
Oh,
hotel
goodness.
room. They bring an electric dryer wherever they go to.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do if that's how it's gonna go.
I mean, we have a
your
lot
staff better
of
be ready for that.
superstitions, but
Is it like
this,
Hanes or something? Like
no,
Hanes?
it's like a
No,
a
they've got
cartoon,
cartoons on
like
them.
But I'm saying like
kids'
whatever brand
underwear.
this is, he's got to get paid.
it's a kid's underwear
He's going to.
cartoon.
I've already seen it.
Yeah, he has to get paid
Oh,
by
that's
that.
His wife was
hilarious.
really cute and said he's basically a 12-year-old, and she
Love
bought some
that. I love
12-year-old
that.
underwear.
She was really cute in the Gucci jacket. You see all
Oh, I
she-
missed that. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
wasn't paying
she's-
attention to the
she's down,
12-year-old
yeah.
underwear.
Have you
That
guys
is
seen
good.
Obviously, do you guys know about the Hurley family at all? So,
Of course.
Yeah. So their dad is like considered the greatest high school basketball coach of all
Yeah.
time in New Jersey. Dan Hurley played at Seton Hall, and then obviously his brother Bobby Hurley played at Duke, one of the greatest college basketball point guards of all time, behind Jordan King. And so they started off as high school coaches. Dan Hurley was a high school coach, and then they both started junior college coaching together. And they have these clips of them coaching together. They're the same person, and obviously they're so like flamboyant on the sidelines. They're just both going crazy in this junior college game, and I'm sure the referee's like, oh my God, I got Bobby Hurley over here and Dan Hurley just like MFing me the whole time in this junior college game. When meanwhile, like, I thought,
Crazy.
I'm actually shocked that Bobby Hurley, first off, didn't start off with a better job at college than
Especially
that.
coming out of Duke. I mean, he was a player.
I was
yeah.
shocked that they were both coaching together. For some, they had to
Makes
been
for a great storyline.
Krzyzewski brought Wojo in and not Hurley.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's actually cool to see them. They started from the bottom, like anybody else would have, but obviously they have such big names to them, and they've worked their way up to what they're at now. And Danny Hurley at Buffalo was a monster.
We were just talking about this. We were just talking about how these coaches, and I know we want to make this a quick and a short episode. And we're kind of going on and on a little bit, but
Classic conversation with Marotta.
Classic conversation with
The
Marotta.
dinner table.
But I mean, we talked about Dawn Staley. We were like, man, I mean, she's worked her way up to, these national championships. She has 2 or 3 national championships total. And think about how long that she's coached. And nowadays, it is like, you got to be great your first couple years or you're out. And you got to think about, I mean, these guys were high school coaches, came from JUCO, and now they're possibly going to win their first national championship. And you got to like Dan Hurley's second national championship. But it's amazing to think about like how quickly these people are getting out. I mean, you think about Kelly Harper at Tennessee, and Pat Summitt had years and years and years to build the program that she did. And now we're going to fire Kelly Harper because she didn't have good.
Well, even like,
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like it takes forever to have a powerful program. And I think you got to give coaches a little bit more credit and a little more chance to build. I mean, Shaka came in and had a wonderful couple years, and God forbid, knock on wood, like he's not going to because of the coach he has, but a couple bad years here and there, and you can't lose them.
Calipari, do you let him go or do you keep him?
Calipari, I mean, all of this.
well, if you look at like Gino, he is like, I guess if you want to go off win percentage and national champions, he's coached for 40 years and he has 11. Like, that's a crazy number to have 11 national champions, but like 40 years you've coached. Like the percentage of that, you can't just like you said, Kelly Harper at Tennessee, like had great 5 years, or you name however many coaches, like you're just kicking them out. Like there's so much more to it.
Well, the coaching profession is just insane. Look at the number one example you need to look at is maybe the number one greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick with the Patriots, doesn't have a job this year.
Yeah.
Like for what?
It's unbelievable. I mean,
Maybe he'll join the dinner table.
Yeah, we should get him on.
He's probably got some spare time.
That's what Mom thinks. She thinks, just reach out to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick. I'm sure, like,
Bill
just
Belichick.
shoot your shot. Yeah. You might come on.
Yeah, Tom Brady's. It's easy.
Yeah. All right. Happy birthday, Cameron.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday, Kim. Big 27.
Yes.
Getting married this year to the cute couple on my left.
Yes.
Yay.
It's going to be a big year.
You want to talk wedding? We've talked a lot of wedding already.
Noreen's like, next episode. Yeah. All right. Happy birthday, Cam. Thanks, everyone, for joining us at the dinner table.
Thank you.
Thank you.